So in this review today, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be reviewing both Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man No Way Home in just one video. I wanted to knock out two birds with one stone, as I have a lot more to say about No Way Home, and I didn't have that much to say about Far From Home, so I just wanted to put both films into this review. And with that said, there's going to be a lot of spoilers, so you have been warned. So let's get going with this review. Spider-Man Far From Home is a 2019 American superhero film. It has Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and it is directed by Jon Watts. In this film, we see Tom Holland's character of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, with his classmates traveling to Europe on a kind of vacation, on a school trip of sorts. And while he's in Europe, he is confronted by Nick Fury as Shield needs Spider-Man to come and help them defeat these kind of elemental creatures that are attacking places in Europe. As this new guy shows up, Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's telling Shield, telling Nick Fury about these threats. And we soon later discover that Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, is basically lying to Nick Fury, lying to Spider-Man. This is all a setup, this is all an illusion, as he is just trying to get back at, I guess, Stark Industries in some way, and get back at S.H.I.E.L.D. and really, I guess, in a way, set up these kind of events so that he can defeat these elemental monsters and become a hero and get the kind of fame and fortune that he always wanted. And yeah, that's basically the story, is that here Peter Parker, who just wanted to take a vacation basically, is now caught up in some more nonsense, having to deal with these elemental monsters, having to fight alongside Mysterio, who soon betrays him, and all this kind of stuff. And he's using these drones to create these illusions which distract and kind of are difficult for Spider-Man to defeat, as these are sort of a unique type of illusions that are created that are super realistic, and it's hard for Spider-Man to kind of go up against Mysterio. This movie, I think the best way I could describe this as a movie is, I think of it as a necessary sequel. It's not bad. It reminded me a lot of Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3 in a way that it's just basically just an episode that's absolutely necessary to kind of carry the story forward to the next episode. I guess this is sort of a filler movie in a way. Not saying that Jon Watts is directing or the acting in this movie is bad at all. It's just that this is a filler movie in my opinion. It just leads us to the better kind of sequel that is Spider-Man No Way Home. There's a lot of clever aspects of this film. I think the inclusion of Mysterio is kind of interesting, even though I don't think that he was utilized very well. Mysterio as a kind of villain, as a character, has a lot of potential, but with Jake Gyllenhaal as the character and with, I guess, this movie, I didn't really see him do the best that he could be in this film. I've always had sort of an issue with Jake Gyllenhaal. He could be an amazing actor at times, but then at other times he's always somewhat playing somewhat of an unhinged character, and he does that in this movie. Jake Gyllenhaal is a very strange actor. If I have to ever make a video about him, sort of analyzing his films, because he's a very weird kind of actor in a way. Like I stated, either he's playing an unhinged character, or he's playing a very bland character, or at times he can give a really great performance. He's very strange in a way, and I think him as Mysterio was sort of a weird choice in my mind. I don't know. I don't think he was sort of that great of a villain. Also, the villain's motivation of basically wanting to get back at Stark Industries because Tony Stark, when he was alive, took credit for one of his inventions, so he just wants to get back at them. I think that was sort of a weak backstory and a weak motivation in my opinion. It doesn't make the character that interesting. I really didn't care. Again, this actually goes back to like Iron Man 2. The villain in Iron Man 2 was very forgettable in a way, and his motivation to go against Tony Stark, I just didn't really care that much about. Whereas like here, even though Jake Gyllenhaal's character is a lot better than the villain in Iron Man 2, I still don't really care about this villain that much. I really don't see his portrayal as Mysterio as okay. Or even, I don't know, he's fine, I guess, in my opinion. But everything else works well. I think Tom Holland, of course, he plays a really great Peter Parker. All the stuff that he has to do, he's in this movie is really fun. As he's while he's on this class trip, he's trying to get the attention of MJ. He wants to confess to MJ that he's Spider-Man. He's trying to like be romantic and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of fun stuff in this movie when it is about Peter Parker and his relationship to his other classmates and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's great action scenes, there's great fun in this movie, but when it comes to just your standard Marvel film, I think, again, the best way I can describe this movie is basically a filler movie. It is the necessary sequel, the in-between movie between Homecoming and No Way Home. So, yeah, it's good. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's like an episode to a show that you're kind of like, oh, that was fun. Let's go on to the next episode. That's about it, you know? So there's not really much I could say about Far From Home, as it is a lot more clever than Homecoming, especially with the villain. Mysterio was a lot more interesting than Vulture, but yeah, there's nothing much else I can really say about this movie. It's a fine movie. Of the three films, I think that Far From Home is slightly better than Homecoming, but it's not as good at all as No Way Home. So that's my review of Far From Home. Now let's get on to the better film, though, and that is Spider-Man No Way Home, which I actually saw in theaters. It's a 2021 American superhero film. Again, we got Tom Holland is back as Peter Parker, of course, and this is John Watts' man, this is his sort of best film of the trilogy, and this is one of the on the list of kind of like great Spider-Man movies. It's not that as great as like Spider-Man 2, and I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is beneath Spider-Man 2, but beneath Spider-Verse is No Way Home. It's on it's on my list of the best Spider-Man films. In this version, we have Spider-Man's identity has been revealed by Mysterio at the end of the film. So he's really sort of upset the fact that Peter Parker, now his identity has been known to the world, and because of this, his friends are being negatively affected by this. So he goes to Doctor Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and he asks him to help him kind of make the world forget. So basically, Benedict Cumberbatch's character casts a spell to sort of make the whole world forget, but in the process, mistakes are made. What happens is that there's now portals to other universes where basically the villains from other Spider-Man movies come into this world, and also the other Spider-Men come into this world, and they get into a fight, and chaos ensues as the universe is starting to collapse, and all this stuff needs to get put back together, and these villains who are entering into Peter Parker's universe has to go back to their universes, be defeated, and all this sort of intense, cool action is in this film, and it's really intense. That's what I liked about this film. It was awesome. I think the fact that they have Tobey Maguire returning as Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield, who, again, Andrew Garfield, while his Spider-Man films were pretty bad, I think Andrew Garfield is a very good actor. I actually respect him a lot, and I think he can really show his talents, especially when he's put to really good use. One great film that I thought he was really awesome in was the movie Silence, which is directed by Martin Scorsese. But besides all that, I'm really glad that they brought the other Spider-Man into this movie, and they brought the other villains. You know, they brought in Dr. Octavius, they brought in the Green Goblin, they brought in the Lizard, they brought in Electro, played by Jamie Foxx. I mean, even though it's sort of, I guess you could say that it's sort of a gimmick in this movie that they're like, hey, we're going to draw in a lot of audiences to this movie because guess what? We're going to have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in this movie. Ooh, you know, you would think that as a gimmick it would have failed, but it actually worked fantastically. And I think this is on part of like John Watts' directing. The action is great. The sort of interactions that Tom Holland's Peter Parker has with the other Spider-Man, with Tobey Maguire, with Andrew Garfield, are some of the best scenes, to be honest with you. I think their dialogues are fun. They're just, I don't know, the best way I could describe them is that they're incredible to see. And it is just, it works all well together. Now there are issues that I guess I would say about this film, in the sense of like, there's a scene in this movie where Peter Parker is trying to cure all the villains and trying to make I guess kind of fix their issues, but he does it in a way that is very ill-advised. And I remember when I went to the theaters to watch this movie with a group of friends, one of my friends said, "Hey, actually this was a terrible mistake on his part to kind of have the villains all at the same time in the same place, having to fix their problems, and not realizing, hey, one of them or all of them could snap at any time and turn against him," which ultimately happens, and it's a mistake of Tom Holland's Peter Parker. So that does present itself as a major issue in this movie, but it doesn't take away from how great this movie is, how well structured it is. I'm just amazed that kind of like the beats that it hits is very perfect in a way. The acting is all fantastic from Tom Holland, from Zendaya to Benedict Cumberbatch. Of course, you have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and Jamie Foxx's performance in this movie too is pretty funny. I'm just really glad to see all of these villains just come together and have to be dealt with in this one film. It felt epic in a way. This was an epic Spider-Man film, and I think, like I stated, with Spider-Man 2, Spider-Verse, and this film, that makes sort of a perfect trilogy in my mind, because this movie really was kind of like the Avengers of Spider-Man films, if that makes sense whatsoever. Everything came together well. The sort of acting, the writing, everything was great. And like, even after recently watching it, I was just really more appreciative of this film, and I'm just glad that this was made. And I'm glad that, again, I'm so glad that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were able to reprise their roles, because they did it perfectly. Shoot, even William Dafoe, his performance as Green Goblin was just awesome to see him back on screen. It was incredible. Of course, Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus was fantastic as well. But it's just, man, I think William Dafoe actually really stole the show in this movie as Green Goblin. It was kind of amazing to see him back as an incredible villain. But I can't say anything other than what I stated, my friend bringing up the kind of negative aspect of this film. Other than that, again, I just have to keep heaping praises upon this movie, because it all works well together. It all came together pretty well. And as a finale to Jon Watts' Spider-Man films, it was perfect. And I think he should be given so much credit for what he made, as it was an amazing experience just to watch it in theaters. I mean, I'm glad I didn't miss out on that opportunity. And also, the one thing I wanted to mention is that this movie was the first one that I saw of the Jon Watts Spider-Man trilogy. I did not see Far From Home or Homecoming prior to this movie. I actually saw this as a standalone movie, and then afterwards I saw the Far From Home and Homecoming on streaming. But as a standalone film, you don't really need Far From Home or Homecoming to learn what's happening in this movie. You kind of figure it out very quickly, as I did when I was watching it in the theater. And that's what's sort of great about, I think that's what's sort of an advantage to a lot of these Marvel films, is that a lot of times you don't need that much explanation of what's going on in this episode of a Marvel film. You could kind of be really caught up very quickly. And that's what I felt like what was great about No Way Home, is that, yeah, I realized what was happening. I knew what was going on. I didn't need to have details about specific characters explained to me. I just figured it out very quickly. And that's one really great aspect about this film. I'm just going to continue giving a great review about this movie. It was so great. It was so awesome. And I think that with the conclusion of the Jon Watts, Tom Holland Spider-Man series, I mean, unless Tom Holland's going to be coming back, I heard he's going to be coming back in Deadpool 3, I believe, but I'm not sure about if they're going to continue with a fourth Spider-Man film. Who knows? But with the conclusion, it is a perfect conclusion. It beats out Spider-Man 3 in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Spider-Man 3 was a terrible conclusion to the kind of Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. But here, No Way Home, it just knocks it out of the park, and it was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I guess that's my review of both Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man No Way Home. These movies were fantastic, especially No Way Home. Far From Home was okay, I guess. Altogether, the trilogy was good. I think Homecoming and Far From Home again were okay. If I had to give them a ranking, I would say maybe like a 72% for Far From Home, a 76% for Homecoming, and for No Way Home, I would give it like a 94%. That's my score of all three of these films. They were great, but No Way Home just kind of beat the other two films altogether. So thank you for watching this review that I did of both movies. This is actually a pretty long review that I did, and I know I rambled and ranted for a long time, and I hope you guys stuck around to listening to me ranting, but yeah, that's part of me making these videos. So I hope you enjoyed this nonetheless. Thank you for watching. Please smash the subscribe button, the like button, as I would truly appreciate it. Yeah, thank you if you guys can do that. And like always, have a wonderful day.